Yes.
My name is Sasha Baring. Today is June 5th, and tonight I'm going to die.
So Stage 5 is about a woman named Sasha who claims that a voice inside her head has told her the exact moment that she is going to die. The central theme that I really wanted to focus in on Stage 5 is, if you knew that you were going to die, how would you live your last day on Earth? And that's the central question that Sasha has to explore throughout this story. And you know, I think that any one of us, we probably would imagine and plan or think of in our head what we would do. But then if the moment actually was coming, would you act differently? Would you be able to do all the things you wanted to do? So when I conceived Stage 5, I envisioned the film kind of in three different beats, three different, I guess you could say, central structures for how I imagined the story would go. The first part is the music. I have a strong admiration for movies that use their score not only as something that helps support the story, but that really drives it. And for Stage 5, my goal from the beginning was that I wanted the music to really drive the central themes of this story. And so the music by Paul Bodler, brilliant musician and composer, I think, you know, our goal was that the music feels like another character in the film, and I think that it's something that's was very important from conception of the script all the way until the final product.
So the editing of Stage 5 was interesting because Mike had conceived of the story after listening to our composer's music, so it was kind of backwards in that sense, where we were editing to the music instead of composing the music for the film. So it was interesting. It was like editing a music video in some respects. The pace and the speed of the shots were largely dictated by the music that was already composed.
The second is definitely the visual language of the film. Thankfully, we had Brandon Raudebush back in the role of director of photography and editor. And when we made Gala, our last short film a couple of years ago, I think Gala allowed us to push the boundaries in terms of reality versus imagination, and really Brandon really had a chance to play around with the visuals from that standpoint. And with Stage 5, the challenges were a little bit differently, and I think what we were able to do this time was not necessarily separate real from fiction in a literal sense, but real from fiction in a character's mind.
So with the cinematography behind Stage 5, we really wanted to accentuate Sasha's movement and her emotional states throughout the film. For a lot of these movement shots, we used the DJI Ronin, which was an incredible tool for what we wanted to pull off with the cinematography behind Stage 5. It allowed us to get super smooth shots, especially during running shots that we never would have gotten otherwise. If you notice, we also play with screen direction. So before her first stage, she always moves left to right until the point where she accepts her outcome, which at that point she goes right to left.
What Brandon was able to do with Stage 5 was not only tell a very concise story, but formulate it and package it together so that it hits up every emotion I think you could possibly imagine. And I think the language, the visual language of Stage 5 is I think some of the most exciting parts about making the movie. And the third part of the story is, once we've established the music and the visuals, is the performance, because no matter how good your film looks or how good your film sounds, if you're not grounded in a realistic performance, it's all meaningless. And thankfully, we were able to bring Sarah Jacobs in for this project. I was so happy that she accepted the role.
Sasha is a creature of habit. She is meticulous. She just sort of does these things because it's what she normally does, until obviously she has this thing happen to her that pushes her out of her comfort zone, far out of her comfort zone, to put it mildly, and sort of makes her live life differently.
I think this performance, I've seen a lot of Sarah's work, but I think what she does in this film is just nothing short of extraordinary.
You know, you don't always get to play those range of emotions, like such intense ups and downs in such a short period of time. You get to think that, you know, you take the 5 stages of grief and you shrink them down into a short film. And it was just an awesome experience to be able to take that ride with the group of people that I was taking it with while shooting and come up with her.
That door.
You still rolling?
What is wrong with your door?
Stage 5 was shot in 2 days. It was a very packed, very stressful but exciting 2 days.
So definitely the most challenging aspect of production on stage 5 was the final scene where Sasha is laying down in the field. It was shot in 2 different locations. The first section where she's walking up to the field was shot in a park. The second half was actually shot in Mike's backyard. So we had to find a way to shoot this scene so that it would be consistent throughout. So the field scene on Saturday was perfect. Sunday came around and we went to Mike's house to shoot the second half of the scene.
The weather was nice and sunny, and then all of a sudden it started raining. And we actually, were not only rained out for several hours, but thunderstormed and hailed for several hours, and we actually had to cancel the shoot on the second day.
As a team does, and it was such a wonderful group of people, everybody's like, we figure it out.
So luckily we came up with the idea to shoot super early the next morning so that the sun setting section could match the sunrise.
Super skeleton crew in the morning, bright and early, before the sun came up, setting up the backyard, you know, trying to get the shot right. I'm laying in the grass, there's bugs crawling in my shirt because it had holes in it. And somehow, because of the people that you're with and the work that you're doing, it is so fun.
I think that's what filmmaking is. It's identifying problems and fixing the solutions one by one.
Good. Should keep walking like a couple 100 feet or so, get into it. All right.
I think audiences will like Stage 5. I think if you appreciated what we tried to do with Gala, I think you'll appreciate what we tried to do with this film.
I think that the point of the movie is you realize that we all work systematically and habitually, and that it doesn't take something so jarring in your own life to knock you out of that and realize what's around you every day, that you can watch Sasha make the realization and apply that to your own life and maybe walk through the day a little differently.
Our goals as artists is always to try to take the next step higher, and I think with this film like Stage 5, we really allowed ourselves to take some risks, and I think that it'll show in the final film. Okay, you good?
Is it going to be hard to control yourself?
So if you have to tell me something, can you yell it?
Hey.
Sorry.